Welcome to Shares from the American College of Financial Services, where we're invested in expanding your opportunities. Here's a look at what we'll be sharing with you today.
Do you feel a lot of your clients undersell how long they're going to live in retirement? How do you have those conversations around longevity?
I ask them about their family. What's your family like?
Welcome to an episode of Shares, proudly presented by the American College of Financial Services. I'm Jared Trexler, Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer at the college. I'm joined by Terrell Dinkins, President of OBN Wealth Advisors, and we are coming to you live from the Conference of African American Financial Professionals. And today, we are unpacking retirement, specifically retirement income. It's a strategic focus area of ours here at the college, and you live and breathe it every single day with your clients. We're also elevating it to the main stage this year at the conference as part of a panel you're on with academics and other advisors. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
I'm excited for you to share some of your wisdom with us today. So let's start with your approach to delivering sound financial guidance and advice during that life stage. So what's your approach to getting clients to open up about the life they want in retirement?
You know what I think is important, Jared, is to get the clients not to think about the dollars, but to share their story. And I think as professional advisors, what we get to do is reverse engineer their story into dollars. And that's what's important. People need to be able to picture the life that they want to live in retirement. So that's what we do in that beginning stage, is for them to share their story.
And then use the numbers as a means to an end.
Yeah, we kind of reverse engineer that. That's our profession. We get to help them say, okay, let's come up with a number for that story that you want, for that lifestyle that you want.
So let's talk about the lifestyle and the story in retirement. So there's this transition. It's not a single point in time.
That's right.
But there's this transition from building or accumulating wealth to drawing down wealth. So how do you help clients navigate that transition?
Well, you know what? One of the things that I like to do before they get there is for them to live it. I actually have my clients to create a 2 weeks journal of what that lives like. Create a budget in retirement, but live that life. Create a journal, write it out, and tell me what you're going to do. Because people forget when you're in retirement, retirement is a 365-day vacation.
Yeah.
So journal.
That sounds great, by the way.
It really is having a 365 days vacation. But the problem with having a 365-day vacation is you spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
And people forget about it. You can spend way more in retirement when you shouldn't have.
And it's kind of fascinating to help them kind of put themselves in the shoes of being in retirement, because we hear a lot of stories about retirees who are like, well, I thought this was going to be wonderful, but I get bored, I lose interest. What are my hobbies and passions in retirement? Is that part of the exercise you're going through as well? Like, how are you going to spend your time?
How are you going to spend your time? And share that with me. And actually, I have them report back. Share your story with me. How are you going to spend that time? People end up getting bored in retirement. And a lot of them would do what I call an encore.
Yeah.
They go back. And there's nothing wrong with making the decision to go back out of boredom.
So what's the hardest part, and it could be the boredom like you just said, what's the hardest part for clients when they're shifting into drawing down those assets, spending mode?
I think sometimes most people underestimate how far their money can go.
Yeah.
And they tend to overspend in the beginning.
Yeah.
Even people in business, we take a leap. And even in retirement, we take that leap and we spend a lot, forgetting that there has to be a strategy in spending down their money. Yeah. You need to have a plan in how you're going to spend down that money. And it changes depending on the environment we're in our economy.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the license to spend, because your first couple of answers really hit at the psychological, emotional, relational aspects of money. We do a lot of research here at the college on what we call license to spend. How do you coach clients through this tension between spending freely in retirement, so they're not concerned they're going to run out of money, and preserving something for the next generation?
I think as professionals, we need to create what I call buckets of money. With our retirement bucket, carve out buckets within that big bucket.
Yeah.
And if they can see that you have the license over here, because a lot of times when people have created a huge accumulation of money, they are afraid to spend that money.
Now, are you bucketing it by like short-term, mid-term, long-term?
Mid-term, long-term, or even short-term goals. People still have goals.
Yeah.
They may have a goal of buying a retirement home and retirement. So you need to segment your money within that large bucket. And that's one way to give them permission by sharing, you have a bucket over here for this particular goal that you want. So segmenting the money helps with that.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because I'm sure the segmenting also is a valuable exercise when we think about retirement really lasting decades. Medical advances in society, people are living a lot longer. So the average 65-year-old healthy retiree, if they're married to another 65-year-old healthy retiree, research from one of our partners shows that it's a coin flip that one of them is going to live to 100 years old.
Wow.
So how do we as a society, how do your clients kind of often overlook the fact that retirement is now lasting decades of time?
People underestimate longevity. So in addition to your buckets of money, we need to also look at the fact that if you don't prepare, long-term care insurance is an example, that you can spend down your money. You can use it all. So in addition to creating the financial aspects, part of that may be looking at the longevity component of life. Yeah. And people underestimate how long that retirement window will last. So I think one of the things that helps with that is having insurance. Things like long-term care insurance, having a health savings account, in addition to those other buckets that you build up. And a lot of times people don't think about that aspect.
That makes a lot of sense. You've talked very fluently, passionately, authoritatively for the last 10 or 15 minutes about income planning. I want to ask you to close a high-level question on the profession. So we at the college, as we look at advisor value over the next 10 to 15 years, advisors get paid on complexity. Technology and the advances have really commoditized a lot of the investment planning. It used to be a decade or two ago, you'd have to come to the advisor to get access to certain stocks or bonds. That's not necessarily true today with mutual funds and certain ETF products. So if your value is in the advice or counsel or the types of solutions and strategies you've talked about today, why did you decide to take that step to advance your education in retirement income? What attracted you to that income planning as you looked at the ways you could help your clients?
First, I'm a life learner. I think if you're in this profession, you need to continue to be above the curve, so to speak. And people, they don't necessarily always want to rely on technology. I think it's important as a professional to be an expert in the field. And I will say this, having my RICP designation has helped me be a better advisor to my clients. I can speak the language, but I can speak the language so that they understand. A lot of times in our industry, we can be too technical.
Yeah.
Having the RICP designation has helped me be able to better communicate with my clients about retirement.
Yeah.
And making it so that they can visualize retirement. So that has helped me.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the college's education. You get the competence, that's important, but the competence unlocks confidence, which allows you to communicate with clarity. Right? So how do you think about, you've talked a lot about the picturing, the see it, be it sort of model with retirees. How do you think about this nuance between understanding the numbers, but how do you communicate and get your clients to buy into the plan you're putting in front of them?
But you, believe it or not, seeing is believing. Sometimes the numbers, even though we paint the pictures, when you have the pictures with the number, I think it's more of a show and tell. I can tell you, but when I show you, take your picture that you painted and use that picture with the numbers, people can understand it, and it's more believable.
Yeah.
They believe in it, they trust in it when they have the picture with the numbers.
All right, I'm going to go to one last question.
Okay,
I said that was the last question. We're going to do one more, and I'm going to bring it back to technical, put you on the spot. What is one thing that when a new client, or maybe a client you've had for a long time that's entering this phase of life, walks into your office, what is one thing you see over and over again that clients don't realize or know?
I will say they don't know. Most of the time, most people don't have enough money. People don't have enough for retirement, and they think we're miracle workers.
Yeah.
They think that advisors we have a magic wand and we can magically create money for them, when it's all about planning.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for clients to reach out to a specialist early, a specialist that specializes in retirement, so that they aren't overestimating what we can do, because it's all about the plan. And I think a specialist can help them put a plan in place early so that they're not swimming backwards trying to catch up.
Yeah. Well, Terrell, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. This is another episode of Shares coming to you live from the Conference of African American Financial Professionals.
Thank you.
As the baby boomer retirement wave crests, it's time to position yourself as the ideal partner for this growing pool of clients with the American College of Financial Services Retirement Income Certified Professional designation. As an RICP, you'll get the specialized knowledge to help more clients with complex retirement planning needs. With the convenience and flexibility of the latest in e-learning design, the RICP program delivers applied knowledge from over 45 top retirement experts on Social Security, taxation, income planning, Medicare and Medicaid, long-term care planning, and more. Get started in our 3-course program today and become an RICP in 4 months. Or if you're a ChFC or a CFP professional, take only 2 courses and finish in even less time. Now is the time to strengthen your client relationships with deep expertise to address the unique challenges of retirement. See how we can expand your opportunities at theamericancollege.edu/RICP.
Welcome back. Now I'm joined by Angie Ribuffo. She's the president of Ryan Financial Strategies.
Yes.
Angie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to unpack further retirement. As I mentioned earlier, we're elevating it to the main stage. It's a strategic focus area of the college. And a lot of our questions are going to be on that escalator ride down in retirement. So what's your approach to getting clients to open up and visualize the life they want in retirement, irrespective of the numbers themselves?
Yeah, so a lot of times it has to do with them being able to tell me what they thought their story would be as they come into retirement. Because they built a story way back when. And is that story the same story that they're telling themselves now as they're starting to go into retirement? Or has it changed? And it's amazing how sometimes clients forget what that story was in the beginning.
Yeah.
So we explore that story and we ask them, all right, well, tell me what that looks like. Draw me a picture if you can, a visual picture of what you think that's going to look like. And from there, we'll be able to work in what that's going to take to be able to achieve that.
Let me unpack that second part, because I want to hit on something Terrell even said earlier. So as they're visualizing that story, does a light bulb or maybe even a siren even go off in your mind of, well, I'm sitting across from a 65-year-old. They have a really ambitious story and they don't have enough money to achieve that story. Like, how do you have that conversation with folks to maybe temper their expectations or align their financial realities with their aspirations?
Well, a lot of times they haven't even done what it is they say they want to do. For instance, I had a client who said that they wanted to take an RV trip around the United States. That's what they wanted to do in retirement. And I said, have you been in an RV? And they were like, no.
Yeah.
Have you looked at how much an RV costs? No.
Yeah.
I said, well, before you decide that that's what your retirement is going to look like, why don't we explore what it's going to cost you to buy that RV? what it's going to look like for you to travel through the United States, right? And unpack that.
Yeah.
And so then that gets them thinking about all of those pieces and parts. And now we can start to put dollars to what it is they were really thinking about in the first place. That's number one. But number two, now their expectation is being looked at, right? Because what they thought they wanted to do and what they really wanted to do are two different
Dreams
things.
and reality.
Absolutely. Where the wife suddenly says, or one of the spouses suddenly says, I don't know if I want to live in an RV and travel 365 days of the year. Like, I want to be at a hotel with a spa, right? Totally different conversation starts to happen.
Absolutely. So how do you help clients? They're coming into your office maybe for the first time, or maybe they've been a client for 10, 20, 30 years. Navigate that transition between what it took to accumulate wealth and now what it's going to take as they start drawing that wealth down.
Right. One is they have to have permission to spend. They have been in accumulation for so long of putting money away, putting money away, that now sometimes when they say, you can actually spend the money, it's really hard for them to do that. It's really hard for them to flip the switch in their brain into spend mode because their fear is they're going to run out of money, right? So we have to let them see the numbers. We have to let them see how those numbers are going to work in their goals, whether it's a short-term, intermediate, or long-term, because we know that retirement can be decades now, right? So it isn't just a matter of, oh, it's going to be 10 years in retirement. So what does that look like?
Let me unpack maybe some of the solutions and strategies you use for that. Dr. Michael Finca does a lot of research here at the college on what he calls license to spend. A lot of that research indicates that, to your point, a lot of retirees struggle drawing down their savings. So advisors that use a more diversified approach to income, whether it be Social Security, income type products, allow those individuals to feel more freely able to spend. So how do you think about kind of diversifying the portfolio of income solutions for your clients to allow them to have that confidence and freedom to spend?
Right. So we have to start off with what's their standard of living going to look like, right? We have to monetize what that looks like. Most clients come into it thinking, I'm going to spend less in retirement than I did when I was working, and that's not true. We have to say to them, honestly, do you want to live less than you were living before retirement in retirement? And the answer is no, they don't want to live less. So the monetary amount is probably going to be the same, if not more. So then we have to look at, okay, what do those income streams look like? What are the guaranteed income streams that they may have? Social Security, do they have a pension, right? Then what are the other asset buckets that they may have? So now we're looking at asset allocation and location. You know, are they in pre-tax dollars? Are they in non-qualified dollars? Where are those dollars? And how do we build an income stream now that, number one, gives them the dollars that they want and need, and looks at their tax ramifications that are in there? Because I look at it and say, yes, your goals may be big and audacious, but the thing that's going to hurt you the most is either going to be taxation or healthcare. So if we can cover those, looking at your income stream and how that's going to work and the things that are out there. So if we need to have guaranteed income stream, other than Social Security, for instance, is an annuity product something that needs to be considered, right? That has a lifetime income benefit rider. Is that something? Is it a wellness rider that we need that we can get in an annuity product? So it's not just investments. We need to look at everything that's out there.
So as you're having that conversation, say they're coming in for a consult and they're like, all right, Angie, here's how much I have. I want it to last. Do you feel a lot of your clients undersell how long they're going to live in retirement? How do you have those conversations around longevity?
I ask them about their family. What's your family like? Where's your mom and dad? Where's your grandmother or grandfather? Oh, my mom, is 80 and my grandmother lived until she was 102. Okay, so we have longevity, right, in your family. So with today, if you already have longevity in your family with today's healthcare system the way it is, there's probably a good probability that you're going to be in that long-term lifetime, right? So what are those challenges and issues that may come up? One of you, if they're married, one of you most likely will need some kind of extended care plan. Are we prepared to do that? Is it an asset-based or is it a product that we need? And if it's a product, what type of product? So that helps us start to look at that conversation about longevity. It's just by asking them about their family.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you talked about the plan at the end. The recent research that was done in conjunction with several college faculty talked about the single biggest risk to massive amounts of assets drawing down over a 20, 30-year period was health. How do you have those conversations about protecting or mitigating risk from health? And how do you work that into a holistic conversation around the next 20 or 30 years of life?
I just ask them, what is your extended care plan should something happen? You know, I live in Alaska. Most people think that that health issue is going to be some disease driven, but it can be an accident. I mean, I've got clients who love to, to go skiing, right? Or snowboarding. It can be an accident, right? What does that extended care plan look like for you and your family? Have you had a conversation with your family about it? Because if you haven't, and your expectation is that your daughter, your son, your sister, your brother is going to be the caretaker for you, then we need to have a conversation with them, and we need to carve out what that's going to look like from a monetary perspective as far as how that care is going to be taken, for you. And if it's not, then we need to look at what product is out there. Are you able to get a product that's going to be able to provide you some security for that extended care plan?
All right, so I'm going to ask you now to dial into your mental Rolodex of your clients. What is one common misconception or faulty piece of information that is typical of clients who are looking to retire as they come into your office? What do they get wrong?
They usually get healthcare and taxation wrong. They don't even think about taxes and how taxes are going to play. Most clients, their biggest pot of money is going to be pre-tax dollars. They've worked all along. Pensions have gone by the wayside. So we have 401ks and 403bs, and most of them are going to be pre-tax dollars. Roth 401ks are new, so there's not a whole lot of dollars in that bucket. And suddenly now, you're in a position where you're drawing off of that. And now your income stream, remember, we're back to what was your standard of living and what do you want it to be? If they don't want it less than, they're going to be drawing from that bucket of money that's going to be taxable. Yeah. Oh, and wait, we have required minimum distributions. So now we've got basically a taxation torpedo that's going to happen that they are unaware of that's coming because they don't even think about that.
So would welcome your thoughts. It's interesting you mentioned tax being one of those knowledge gaps for consumers, because we just ran a market study at the college, and advisors overwhelmingly told us the biggest knowledge gap for advisors is retirement tax planning, which is covered a lot in TPCP 102, the second course in the tax planning program. How do you view the danger of both of those knowledge gaps? The consumers don't know anything about it or the right questions to ask, and you have a lot of advisors that are more asset gatherers or asset aggregators, and they're not comfortable or have the knowledge to navigate clients through the tax issues they face.
Yeah, I think that gap is big and growing amongst our profession, only because they're mostly in accumulation and aggregation, and they're not thinking about it from that perspective. They know that they want to tell clients, you need a Roth IRA because tax-free money is the best, but they don't know how to explain the why of it to the client in the long run. And what happens there is the client goes, okay, yeah, that's great. I'll put some money in a Roth IRA. I'll put $50, and not understand that they're putting in 3 times that into their pre-tax account. Yeah. So there's going to be an imbalance when those dollars come out. And so if advisors can understand why taxation plays such a big part in retirement planning and be able to explain that well to the client, then the client understands, well, I need to be putting in as much money as I can into a tax-free bucket if I can, or a non-qualified bucket if I can, or across all 3 buckets if I can, right? Yeah. So that I've got an income stream that I can pull from that's going to be tax advantage to me in the long run.
Yeah, let me close with asking you a question about the future of the profession. So technology advances, artificial intelligence, there's been this rapid commoditization of portfolio management, investment management in the industry. If you look out a decade from now, where do you see advisor value coming into play? How should advisors be shaping, modifying, doubling down on their practices today to make them sustainable a decade from now?
They need to always be learning, because our landscape is always changing, not just from an investment standpoint, but the laws are changing, and that impacts our clients. We as people have the ability to connect with our clients that no robo-advisor is going to be able to do, no AI is going to be able to do. We're going to be able to drill down deeper and have a more meaningful relationship. And really, in our business, it's all about the people and it's all about the relationship. And although we have these great, wonderful technology tools that are out there, I don't ever see it taking the place of the human connection, because everything that we do has to do with people and what we do every day.
And this conversation's been with people, about people. Angie, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Shares, live from the Conference of African American Financial Professionals.
That's all for now, but you can find all our episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and most other streaming services. Be sure to like us, follow us, and leave us a rating and review. Shares is a production of the American College of Financial Services, and we hope you join us next time as we share ideas that expand your opportunities.